guys, and thank you for being back on my channel. Today we are starting episode 8. I can't believe we are towards the end of this series. Such a journey. Today we're going to talk about a really important message, which is how can we protect our kids in a fallen world. We live, and it doesn't take us long to realize the world that we live in and how fallen it is and how far away from the Bible it is. This video was born out of a question that I received from a friend when I shared with her my story. Because I'm a mom, she's a mom, one of the first questions she asked me was, okay Alex, how can we protect our kids? How can we protect our kids from abuse? Today I'm coming to you not as an expert. I'm coming to you as a parent who's in the middle of it, who's in the thick of it, who I'm still trying to figure out myself how to better protect, if you will, and prepare my kids. And I'm also talking from a perspective of somebody who was abused as a child. So from that perspective, maybe, of a child that was abused. And I just hope that you'll find this video encouraging and that you'll find something helpful. If I could use only one word on answering the question, how can we protect our kids from abuse? It would be this word, educate. Educate. And I'm not in agreement, and I don't agree with the world giving my kids a sexual education, especially in the way the world wants to do it today. I mean, we know that the new sexual education is, in many countries, is introduced in schools and is introduced from a very young age. So yeah, let's sign all the petitions that we have to sign. Let's do our best to try and keep this way of presenting sex to the kids. But in the same time, I strongly encourage and strongly affirm that us as parents should give our kids a healthy sexual education. Our kids need to be sexually educated. They do not know anything about sex. And especially because we live in this perverted world, we have to give our kids a healthy sexual education. Obviously, it depends from country to country, culture to culture, but at least in Romania, there's us as 30-plus-year-olds. We did not receive a very detailed, let's say, very good, very complete, maybe that's the word, sexual education when we were kids. At school, we only talked about periods, the difference, safe sex, and that was about it. And at home and the church, sex was a taboo. And now this video and other videos, I don't want them to be videos where we go and blame our parents that, you didn't do this, and you could have done this, and this, and this, and this. If we think about it, our parents did a massive step compared to their parents in educating us. I mean, at least in my case, but I know a lot of people, at least in Romania, if you think about how your grandparents, your parents' parents educated them, they took huge steps in educating you and me. And now is our turn to do bigger steps in educating our kids. And hopefully when our children are becoming parents, they will do an even bigger step and start from a different point. So this video is not with the aim of going and blaming our parents for everything they did wrong. They did the best that they could with the information that they had at the moment and with the tools they had at the moment. They did the best they could. But now is our turn to do a little bit better, because we know more, because we have more information, and because we live in a more fallen world. It is our responsibility to educate our kids when it comes to sex as well. Sex was created by God. I was saying this in the last video, and it was a gift created by God. As I said last time, the devil does not create anything. The devil does not have the ability to create. When God created man in Genesis 1, to read this, when God said, "Let us make man into our image," he modeled Adam out of mud. And then when God blew the breath of life, he did. The man became alive. God actually blew into the man this ability of creating. That's why us as humans, we are we have this ability to create, to take something and make something else. This ability was not given to the devil. So the devil does not create anything. He perverts, but he does not create anything. So let us not be led into thinking that sex was created by the devil. He can't create. He perverts. There is this idea of keeping the innocence of children and not talking to our kids about sex, because this will steal away their innocence. But by trying and keeping them into this bubble, if you will, where you keep their first innocence, I put it like this, you actually have all the chances of throwing that child out into being into the world where his second and most precious innocence can be taken so easily. When we decide not to talk to our kids, when we choose not to talk to our kids about sex, when we choose not to tell them about the way God sees sex, the way the world perverts sex these days, we are basically throwing them into a world where they are bombarded by perverted people, by inadequate conversations, especially children. I mean, younger and younger children are talking about sexual things that they are not prepared to talk about. We are sending them into a world where they can be bombarded with pornographic images and videos, and they wouldn't know what to do with all of this. I heard parents, maybe not so much neo-culture, but at least in Romania, I heard parents that say, "Oh, but I'm too embarrassed and too ashamed to talk to my kids about sex." Just because you don't talk about it does not mean that your child does not know about it. I'm not perfect. We're not perfect parents. We're doing our best and really trying our best. But I can't say, "Oh, I have the key to success. You have to do this, 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 and then your child will be set for life." No, we're still in the midst of it. We're still figuring out. We're trying to improve. We're trying to do better. But so that's the angle and perspective I'm sharing from. We tried, and from since they were little, especially Sam was very intentional in giving our kids a healthy biblical sexual education and opening this door. Majority of the parents, I think, they get scared of this idea of sexual education because they think you have to give all the information to the child. You have to have the talk, which normally when you're talking about the talk, it happens way too late. And they have the impression that you have to give all the information at once. But that's not the case. The idea is to create an easiness and a natural thing. And of course, at the beginning, you don't start with talking to them about the fallen world we live in and all the details. Like, I'll tell you what we did practically. We first started talking about the difference between boys and girls. How boys are born with a different body than girls are born with a different body. Why mommy does not get changed in front of them because they are boys and because we're different and all these principles. Then after we talked about the differences, I mean, this didn't happen just one time and all in one day. Just like randomly from time to time when we found the ground prepared, if you will, when we saw them kind of ready, but we brought it into discussion. They won't know how to ask us. They won't know about these things if we don't tell them. So we kind of just slowly talked about differences. Then we talked about periods that girls get. We talked about it. I gave them a pad, a period pad. We put some water in it. They figure it out. I gave it to them to open the package, see what it looks like, explain to them what it is for. Just kind of because they were curious about it, so I satisfied their curiosity. It was safe, it was okay, it was good. Then as they grew a bit older, I remember one point Milo asked, I think he was about 5 years old, we were at the dinner table and he asked, how are kids? How do they come into existence? Then we talked a little bit, very anatomically, very simple. Not details, but very simple. Not that the stork brings the children, which is very common saying in Romania, or that daddy kissed mommy. And I mean, I'm just saying some of the things I heard. And by kissing her, he planted the seed, and then from that seed he grew. No. We simply told them the truth, but in a very child-appropriate way. Very anatomically, very non-detailed, because as they grew older, Sam talked a little bit with them. First, it was just with Milo because he was older. There is a difference of 2 years between my kids, so in some subjects we do take them separately. Some subjects we talk to them together, but especially Sam because they are boys. But mommy is always open. I'm always open for them to come and ask me. Especially as they grow, they might want to know the things from a female perspective, how a woman feels, how a woman sees things. So my door is always open, but Sam talked to them a little bit about pornography, that they can be faced with it, what to do when they are faced with it. We talked about the way the society is trying to define family, difference between the society is trying to define family and the way the Bible's define family. And even more recently, we talked to them about my abuse from my childhood. We didn't give them details. I mean, details are not helpful to share around, but we told them what happened. We told them why it's important, because before I actually told them about the abuse, we did talk to them. We gave them guidelines so that they know if somebody comes and says, look, I want to touch this, or you touch that, or don't tell your mommy and daddy, or we just gave them some guidelines to know what happened. And then when I shared to them about my abuse, and we reinforced that through my example. Why is it important? And why did mommy and daddy share all these guidelines with you? And just basically give them some tools so that they know how to deal with the society that we live in. We can't change them. We can't bring them 30 years ago or 50 years ago. This is the world they live in. And you know how it is. It just takes time to open Netflix, open your TV, put the news on, go to a shop, look through a magazine, or just look at the billboards outside with the commercial they have. It doesn't take much to figure out the world we live in. We have to prepare them for the world that we live in. And part of that is educate. Make it naturally. Let them get the information from you. You should be the source of information, because we have to give our kids the notions of good and evil. I don't know if you ever watched the documentary. I've seen some documentaries, I call them like that, where you hear about these kids that they are being beaten at home, they are like being physically abused, they are kept without food. For a lot of years, they believe that all the kids are treated like that at home. They believe that that's the normality. Whereas we know as the normality. Let's show our kids what the normality it is. Let's tell them, give them the guidelines that they need to know what is bad and what is good and what is evil, what is bad and what is good. Otherwise, they won't know it. And if we don't give it to them, the world would give it to them. And the world would give it in a very distorted way. So now I come back to my friend's question from the beginning. Alex, how can we protect our kids from abuse? The answer is that we can never protect 100% our kids from abuse. But we can prepare them. And one of the tools, as I said, is one of the important things is to educate and give them tools to know how to react, what to do with what the world throws at them, what to do if they are faced with an abuser one day. They need to know what they are supposed to do in those situations. This is one of the things. There are 3 key things, not necessarily 1, 2, 3 as much as 1, 2, 3 on the same line. One of it is educate, inform them, give them the tools. The other one is also very important. Live you as a parent, live an authentic life. If you're a parent, you already know that your parent copies what he sees, not what he hears. You can speak big words, you can preach the Bible, but live completely off. And your child will follow what you model at home, not what you say. Actions speak louder than words. Live authentically with God. Authentically does not mean perfectly. We are not perfect beings. We are not perfect parents. They need to see us when we did a mistake, that we go and say sorry, that we repent in our relationship as a husband and wife. It's good for them from time to time to hear mommy go and say to daddy, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Or I didn't mean to say that. It's good for them to hear daddy go and say to mommy, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean that. It's good for them to hear us in our discussions. You know what? I did this and it was not good. I need to go and repent before God and to hear you pray. God, I'm sorry for what I did. Let's live authentically before our kids. Not perfectly, but authentically. Let's model Christ. Let our words align with the way we live. That's the second key. And then the third thing, which is not less important, maybe the most important, is let us pray for our kids. When I talked to my mom and dad and shared to them about my story, and at one point I was just like kind of looking at them and saying, thanking them because they lived authentically with God, that can be close to God. And my mom looked at me and she was like, and also our prayers protected you. And that's so true. It's so important to pray for our kids. Doing these three things will not 100% protect them. Unfortunately, the world we live in, our kids will have their own choices, their own battles, and they will be faced with choices to do good, to do bad, to listen to what my mom and daddy said, or to listen to my peers. They will have their own battles, and that's normal. But because we gave them the tools, we educated them, we modeled what it means to live an authentic life with Christ, then we surround them with our prayers. And we might not be able to protect them from walking through some things. Although I pray that none of our children, mine or yours who are listening, will ever have to go through abuse. But they might go through some hard things in life at one point. But because we did all these three things, then although their experience, or if you will, their path might not be protected from going through the valley, their heart will be protected to stay close to God. I saw that in my life. I walked through abuse twice, very differently. But my heart always belonged to God. My heart, through all the doubts and all the hell, if you will, that I went through, my heart was always God's. And that kept me and that helped me to walk through this all. I hope you are encouraged from today's message. I would love to hear your opinion. Why not leave the comments down below if it works? I hope it works. I had issues with YouTube. But I would love to hear maybe different angles or different ways that we can protect our kids. As I said, I'm not perfect. I'm eager and ready to learn more. So yeah, maybe share them. If the comments are working, it would be brilliant for you to share them here like this. Other people, other parents can read and gain from your experience and from your wisdom. If we all put our wisdoms together and experiences, we can have an abundance of tools to help our kids. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This really helped me. I know it's cliche, but all this, if you haven't subscribed, it helps me with the channel. If you have not clicked the like button actually helps, and the subscribe button as well helps the algorithm of YouTube. So I would really love your support in this way. And why not share it with a friend if you think it's helpful. If the comments do not work, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook. You can find me over there. I'll leave the links down below. And I'll see you next time, guys. We're almost towards the end. We're going towards the end. And I'm so grateful that you stayed through this journey with me. See you next time, guys. Bye!